For the degenerate, this movie's the Bella de Ball. Date Mike. Also New York. This is a review of Uncut Gems, the Magnum Opus of degenerates. A visceral story of the vicissitudes of the gambling addiction, and particularly contrasted hauntingly with the amazing life that just sits on the sidelines. Adam Sandler is a hopeless degenerate. He plays Howard, always after the next big win. Sidekick and hustler Demany, played brilliantly by LaKeith Standfield. And their playground, the Diamond District of New York City. It sets up an incredible ride at the breakneck pace of a New York minute. Now, before I start, this has to be said. Adam Sandler is so good in this. He's so real in this, you feel like you could reach out and just touch his performance. He's passionate and visceral. He's so believable as Howard, always after the next big score, the big bet, even if it cost him everything. He sells it so well you forget you're in a movie. This film moves at a panic pace. Comfort's never an option for the audience, for any of the characters either. So we're given this opening shot in this movie. These Ethiopian Jewish miners in Africa, and there's an uprising, some chaos, somebody's hurt, and you see two gentlemen go back into the mines. And lo and behold, they cut out this huge rock, this rare black opal, this uncut gem. And then the movie takes us on this psychosis of a trip, hallucinogenic in nature, through the innards of the rock, and then out of the colon of Adam Sandler, of Howard. This is a chaotic opening scene, and it sets the tone brilliantly because the whole movie is chaos. Uncut Gems is unrelentless. So Howard is a businessman in the Diamond District of New York City. We're shown he's had a broken marriage, a mistress, dead up to his eyeballs, brutal collectors coming looking for him, coming around more and more. And then Howard somehow procures this rare black opal. It's almost like a MacGuffin of gigantic sorts, like the ring from the Middle Earth. This beautiful MacGuffin, and it casts a spell on Howard. Then even later on, and we'll get to this, the big ticket himself, KG. So I can't count how many times in this movie that I wanted to grab Sandler's character by the collar and just tell him to wake up, go to your wife and kids, realize the life you have, the multitude of blessings. And I think this urge was particularly strong for me and intentional from the director. Of course, it probably will be in all of you. As someone that's wrestled with addiction in various spaces, I even played the ponies. And for sometimes if you've known anybody in that realm of addiction, you just can't get through to them. And I think that's the vacuum this movie takes place in. This delusion and psychosis, and it makes for a wild ride. I mean, it does do that. The brilliant directors kept the Manhattan streets even open during filming. You know, a lot of movies will shut them down. And the fact that there's real people walking in and out, and Sandler's just going on these tirades out and about on the streets, just makes it all the more real. And it's a grit you won't soon forget. So then we'll kind of go into this incredible encounter where, as I mentioned earlier, Demany, real charismatic sidekick to Sandler's character Howard, he brings in kind of the talent, the big spenders into his jewelry store that Howard owns, and in walks the big ticket, Kevin Garnett. And for me, as a huge basketball fan, it is crazy to see these two worlds collide like this. So the illustrious big ticket steps into the picture, right after Howard gets this opal and the uncut gem. And then KG is incredible. I got to say that. It probably helps. I mean, he's so authentic. Probably helps he's playing himself. But he sells it in a way it's almost like it's a part of his real life. It's unbelievable. It's not foreign to him. So you think you're watching live, you know? And fun fact, before even getting into KG, is the basketball player changed 3 times over the decade that they were planning this movie. Mari Stoudemire, briefly Kobe, and they would have done it and shot it in into that 60-point Garden performance he had. And then to Kevin Garnett, and rest in power, Kobe. Kevin Garnett was perfect for this. And one thing I tip my caps to them in the direction of this movie is the basketball in it is so copacetic and smooth. It's Kevin Garnett in the playoff series against, in 2010, I think, against the Philadelphia 76ers. He also comes under the spell of the opal, of the Uncut Gem. Thinks it gives him, something for the games, and has an incredible performance. The day after Sandler lends it to him, Howard lends it to him because he really wants it. He's all in, right? And Sandler did a really good job of selling that. KG wants it. He wants that voodoo. He leaves his Boston Celtics championship ring as collateral. And then Howard pawns it. Okay. And I would like to say, like, oh my goodness, that's the most tense moment. Because you're in the audience, you're like, oh, come on, this isn't going to end well. That's probably not even top 5 most tense moments in this movie. And then 2 best words in sports, Game 7. All that takes place in this like middle act. It's incredible. It's a ride, man. It's so much fun. Now back to Howard and his journey. Part of his journey is Arno. It's his brother-in-law. And him and some heavy keep coming around because Howard owes him 6 figures in debt. And they kind of heard he may have made some bets with money that could be construed as theirs because he got it for some sales, and I'll let you see, but they're not happy, right? And every decision that Howard makes in this movie, when you see him go through it, knowing what's on the line, knowing the monsters after him, knowing the monster inside of him, and he can't get out of his own way, makes the entire film more breathtaking, tragic, and insane. But because of Sandler's performance, believable. So this particular powerful scene to me, I don't know if it's one that's talked about a lot, but it really stuck out to me. There's a Passover. They're Jewish. And there's this Passover scene, and he's with his family. Sandler's character, Howard, is with his wife, who he doesn't live with. He has his own apartment with his mistress. But he's with his wife and kids, and his brother-in-law, Arno, there. Those beautiful dead eyes, dude. His eyes are... you'll see. But there's this odd impasse when they're here with family and they're having a good time. But there's this contrast that Sandler knows Arno and his guys are after him. He owes him so much money. But here they are... faith, family, and what actually matters. And you see this haunting tension. It's a tragedy, really, because they're surrounded by such wonderful things that people would kill for. And yet, the double lives these gentlemen live outside of that leaves it all on the line. And you're just thinking, why? But if you've been around addiction, you've been around whatever, these people that chase these dopamine rushes, which we all can fall into that. We all make decisions where you're like, why? But it's hard to watch even as they're enjoying this family time, this odd impasse. Like back in the day when say like Civil War or something, for example, when artillery was at that point, the captain's meeting at the center of the battlefield, shaking hands, saying whatever, going back, like, okay, nice to meet you. I'm going to go back here and do my best to kill you. But there's this weird gentleman's agreement to come and meet. It's kind of like that, but they're family, man. And it's tough. Knowing what's going on between them, that stark dichotomy, that scene really jumped out at me. I would have done anything I could if I knew him in real life to slap it out of him and say, look around you. But you just can't. You're at the mercy of the direction of this movie. You're at the mercy of Howard. And it's a ride. It's a ride. Now, the third act may be the wildest ride I've ever taken in my cinematic history as a viewer. As a connoisseur, it exhausts you physically. You have a physical response to it. It wears you out, and it's amazing. It's amazing. There's nothing like it. I'll give away as little as possible, because I can't rob you of it. I can't rob you of it. This is streaming on Netflix. Go watch. But the third act is a hurricane. The ingredients are bad beats, a 6'13" giant. Inside KG joke there. Suffocatingly incredible writing, and a conclusion that is so timeless it could be out of Greek mythology itself. So interwoven in what it is to be human. Full of meaning, and then none. Loud and then silent. You just got to experience it. Everything is at stake during the third act. Now, I think this film, as I've sat with it, exists in this vacuum of sorts. It's about a man hopeless to his own nature. of seeing a good life within grasp, but just can't stop chasing the dopamine rush. Just can't get out of his own way, powerless to himself. It's a degenerate's nightmare to experience, but a moviegoer's dream to watch. This movie is a 2-hour rush, purposely ill-lit cinematography paired with cosmic horror-esque soundtrack. The writing, directing, so in sync, so tight. Adam is so incredible. You just forget you're watching a movie. You really do. This movie feels so real. It dips in and out of reality, as the directors have alluded, is intentional. You can tell it's in its DNA that the creators of this movie know this world beat for beat. It's their business. It's their archetype. Whether it's them, someone adjacent to them, it's real. And that's a compliment. This movie does show that this is a film that's been in their hearts for nearly a decade. It finally came to fruition. It was a long shot. A24, Sandler, decade in the making. The Safdie brothers declining funding, the directors, and a request to do another superhero movie. They said, nah. And they secured funding for Uncut Gems after Good Times was such a success they had with Robert Pattinson. So it's a big bet and it paid off. I kind of extrapolate from this film that we're all uncut gems. Flawed, but valued at the same time. Go ride this ride. Try to take some cuts, because life's going to cut you. But survive them, let them make you better, stronger, and more beautiful. Understand the big play is not always the best play. Not in this life. And don't leave the good stuff on the sidelines just for the rush. You'll regret it. This movie is a storm. It moves in, throws everything around, and then it departs. And you're left picking up the pieces. Go see what you get out of this movie. See what you observe, and let me know in the comments below. Did you like Uncut Gems? What did you take from it? How did it make you feel? That's what art is, man. It makes you feel something. And don't miss this one. This is a ride worth taking. It's an incredible film. Sandler was snubbed at the Oscars, although we all know Phoenix would have won regardless. This is an incredible performance. And I think that we all relate to this character on a human level. We all have these ineptitudes within us. It's a matter of which do we give into or not. And he said something very powerful, Howard did in this film, and I'm going to leave you with that.
I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do. Everything I do is not going right.
Mood.